For catching big bass in the summer, you always hear your typical lures such as crankbait, worms, Carolina rig, and jig. And guys, I've been wanting to tell you that. But in this video today, we're about to go over 3 unusual lures that I've caught big fish in the summer. Maybe you have as well. But we're going to go over these 3 lures. We're going to go over the areas, retrieves, and just the little bit difference about them than other typical baits. They might be baits you have, might be baits you're afraid to buy. Guys, I love the summer, love catching big bass, and this is a great time to do it. Let's go get into the video. Okay, guys, the first one is one I don't talk about much. I've talked about it in the classified a little bit, but I haven't talked about much on my channel. But guys, it is a wing ding type of lure, you know, it's kind of called. There's a Little George is the name, but right here, V&M Baits calls it the Little Hammer, okay? If you're down there in Texas, Toledo Bend, you know this dude catches fish, but this catches fish across the country. But one thing about it is we're going to talk about it's very timely. There are times where they want this guy and times they don't. That's with every one of these lures, guys, we are going to talk about. And then I'm going to get into the retrieves and stuff here in a minute too. Where I like to throw this, guys, is you know, typical ledges, you can throw it off the end of points, flats. Now with forward facing sonar though, you can throw it in other areas as well. But high percentage areas where there's going to be bait fish and there's going to be, you know, a channel bend and your covers, like I said, you can throw this in wood. I've thrown them on shell beds even. Lake Fork, there's one day at Lake Fork, one evening, where this little guy right here caught our biggest fish of the evening. This little dude right here. So this guy can catch big fish, and there is something about the retrieve. There are different little colors. I just kind of stick to the shad colors. But I remember the first time I ever fished one of these was with Glenn Freeman. There's YouTube videos there's YouTube videos about Glenn talking about, guys. Go Google him and see. He's one of the top probably Toledo Bend guides right now. He's old. He's an older guy, and I'm saying older as in he's been fishing for a long time. He has fished Toledo Bend before electronics, with electronics. And guys, one time I got to fish with him, man, I couldn't take everything in. I tried so much, but I learned a lot from him, and that was one of the things I learned from him that day. And there's, like I said, with all these lures, guys, practice and take something, you know, about it, and he has this thing down, okay? Just, and like I said, there's a timely deal to it. And so like all these lures, it is that. But that's one of the cool things about this I learned was down there with him and brought it back up here. Like I said, there's always a timely deal. As we're about to talk about this right here, the hammer, talking about just kind of the retrieves and just kind of like watch me go through this right here. There's some fish up here off the edge of the point. There's a brush pile up here, and they're not really active right now. There's gonna be one point they're active. Now I'm not gonna throw this thing in this brush pile. I'm gonna try to throw so those fish off the edge of that point right there. There's just kind of fish around. You kind of see, you might see them on my chest footage down there. But guys, what I'm gonna do is throw this dude out. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, some of my best fishing has actually been without forward facing sonar with this, or not even watching it, but you let it go to the bottom and you just kind of hop it up, okay? And then you kind of let it go down and then you hop it up, okay? Now this rod right now is a 7.4. I like it probably on a shorter rod for just the hopping. My shorter rod had something already on it, and so I'm just gonna kind of go. I saw some fish kind of chase it right there, and it just kind of goes up and down. And when it does this, guys, I'll bring it up here. When you do that, what it does is it has a little vibration in the water. You got the flash from the tail spinner right there, okay? I'm saying wing ding, that's really a tail spinner. That's another name for it, okay? Now I like to use, some guys don't, but I like to use a little bobber stopper up here, okay? And also with it, you have the hook does kind of bounce back and forth off this thing. So let's kind of throw this dude out, okay? Like I said, I like a shorter rod for this. I'm right now throwing it on 12-pound test, okay? I really like a shorter rod, just because it is, you know, I mean, you've probably, oh, I thought hit it. One just hit it, I thought, okay, woo. When you kind of, the bites on it aren't always just super aggressive, not gonna lie. It's, the bites are more like, it's kind of like that hair jig bite in a way. You guys kind of feel it go down and it's like a tick. But like when it goes down like that, you might miss a fish. Oh, there's some good ones out here. They're just not eating right now, guys. Okay, so throwing it out there one more time, and we're just gonna hop it up. Gonna kind of hop it up. Those dudes just ain't wanting it. Down there watching them. Be cool if we did. The shorter rod, I think, for some reason the shorter rod to me, and I'm gonna hear you guys if you have caught fish with it before, the shorter rod just kind of makes it to where it's easier to pull it up. So it's, this longer rod, you know, is not as kind of easy to pull it up, you know, because you're going back and forth on it. But guys, let me know what you think about the tail spinner and if you've had luck with it. So the second lure, guys, and I've talked about before, you've seen on the channel, you've seen Johnny from Fish the Moment put it out there, is the hair jig, okay? This right here is the Cumberland Pro hair jig. I've thrown the True Bass Shuttlecock, and I have a couple other ones. You know, I've talked about the Queen Tackle. I'm just throwing this one right now. It's the blue, it's the white with blue hair. I'm just trying some different stuff right now, guys. But one thing about the hair jig is the retrieve is huge, and I've always kind of fished how Johnny taught me, but even lately, watching Ben Millick and some other guys fish it, there's a variety of ways to fish it. But you want to fish thing around ledges, fish it around points, your flats, your drops, but typically you always want to fish it after like fish have been getting pressure, they've been getting beat up on. And even lately, one thing, like I've not caught as many fish with it lately, but I've caught good fish with it, okay? And that's what it typically does. It can catch big fish. And this is something where like Johnny up there in Beaver Fork, Table Rock, guys, you can catch fish with it. Of course, down there in South Texas, Arkansas as well. But it is a timely bite with it. The retrieve, though, is very, very critical. One thing about this I will say is you don't need to watch them on forward-facing sonar. I do better when I'm not watching them. Now, when I was watching Milliken the other day, and if y'all, I'm just going to go and say what I noticed, he's watching them, and he was just, reeling it above the fish, and we'll talk about that when I get to the chest footage here in a minute. He's just reeling above. So you can use forward-facing sonar, but guys, even I still like just knowing the fish are there and fishing it how I did before forward-facing. I don't got to really watch them, okay? The bite's on it fun, because when you do click that reel and it goes down and you feel that tick, set the hook, it is a blast. Okay, guys, now we're going to talk about the hair jig, kind of go over the retrieve right here on that same group of fish. I'm kind of close to some of them, but they're all out there. I'm just going to throw this thing out. I'm going to let it go to the bottom. Now, I'm not going to watch. I'm going to try to step back here, guys, and just not even watch this thing, okay? So, I'm using a 7.6 rod. I normally use a 7.2. I've been testing the 7.6 due to, I know you make a long cast with this, and if they hit this thing further out, maybe it's help. But what you're going to do is reel this thing fast and then click is one of the ways I like to do it. Then to kind of go down, go to the bottom, click. There you go. And I'm gonna let this thing go. And you can switch it up with it. They're all over right now. I can just see from right there on the deal. It'd be cool if one of them made it right here in front of you guys, but nope, they're not going to. See, I'm watching. It's crazy how they're all out there. And these dudes are just not eating right now. At least I know they're here. We're gonna come back on a guide trip for this Friday and try to catch these. Okay, so now I want to try to do our watch, where like I watch Milliken guys, where I'm just gonna work this thing right above them, get up here. There you go. You see them kind of coming after it. Nope. They don't want it. They're all over it though. But yeah, guys, so that's one thing about that. Like I said, I really prefer launching this thing, reeling it fast, clicking, and that's just kind of my thing about it. Now, I'm using 12-pound test. I like a lighter test with this. 12-14 is good, but I do like that lighter test with it. Okay, guys, if you're a regular on the channel, you're about to know what the third one is, and it is the big Flutter Spoon. Now, I say if you're a regular because you have seen me talk about this thing for 2 years. I love the Flutter Spoon. I've made it a year-round bait when it typically used to not be. This right here is a Dixie Jet Talon. Here's the Falcon. I've thrown both these today. I've actually caught a fish with the Falcon. But something about this Flutter Spoon, guys, to me, it's like a glide bait underwater. And even like today, not all the fish are just coming after like they normally do, but it attracts fish, and something about the flutter and action is kind of like a reaction strike, okay? And and then I say this is like one that people don't want to throw because this is big hunk of metal. It's, it's a $22 bait, okay? It's 7 inches long, 2.5 inches wide, and there's some 9-inch Flutter Spoon. Guys, this ain't even the biggest one. But guys, something about it, and I know not many people throw it, but your lakes, if there's a good crappie population in your lake, yellow bass population, if there's, other type of big forage, this is something that can get those bigger bites. 2-pound fish with this too, by the way. I like to fish this anywhere, okay? It used to just be a ledge deal, used to be a drop. I don't care. I throw it anywhere. I'll throw it on flats. I'm throwing it in timber. I'll swim over brush piles. I have it on the deck. I'll throw it up there in 2 foot of water and bring it off a point. I throw it everywhere. Of course, forward-facing sonar is the reason for that, okay? I can watch it. I'm pretty good with understanding where it's at, and I've had just enough confidence with it. It's one of those things that I've gotten out there and thrown, and that's something maybe with you and what you could try to do, okay, and your lures, And I know a lot of people get intimidated by this thing. I have it on a 7.9. This is a medium heavy fast action rod. I've done 710 heavy. I've done the 7.9 heavy, but 20-pound test fluorocarbon. And this is, as y'all guys see, it's, I mean, this reel's, I mean, 16, 17-year-old reel, but this dude is pulled in some big fish, okay? So guys, on that, I like throw it anywhere, and I'm not gonna, you know, go into the retrieve part of my chest footage. If you want to learn more about it, come on a forward-facing trip with me or a guide trip with me, and I'll go all in depth. You've watched enough on the channel, though. You can pick some things out, but that's something that you need to come fish with me to learn more about it, guys. So, guys, this is the Faith Juice segment of the video. Appreciate all the feedback I've been received from it, man. It's been very encouraging to get the positive feedback that I've had. So I'm going to share with you guys just something I've read this morning, and kind of goes to us today too. This is the world we're kind of in, man, in a way, okay? Just to where maybe one of you guys can take this or share your thoughts on it. But guys, in 1 John 4, there's a whole section there talks about love, God's love, and then our job as believers loving. And even if you're not a believer, guys, just, you know, you can, there's still, I know good people, guys, that have this attribute I'm going to share, okay? So guys, if you're not a believer and you're part of the Fishing Coach channel, that's okay. We can be friends, okay? I'm just telling you, I'm friends. But the section here on God's love, it's not like us like all hugging and that type of love. It's the kindness love. It's the forgiveness love. It's the understanding love. And that's something that today we are humans are losing overall. You just see so much negativity. If you watch the news and the world, you turn social media on, so much negativity, guys. But just think if we all cared for one another, had forgiveness for one another, understanding for one another. And I know there's times where, like, you might struggle with forgiving somebody, or struggle with if they've done something to you, you know, wrong. Because I've dealt that, guys, myself. Like, if someone done me wrong, it's kind of hard to kind of have that understanding. But as you get older and more mature, you have that love. But think if we had that today in our society, today in the United States. We live in a great place here. And I have a lot of Canada people that watch this channel too, guys. I appreciate it. But where we're at, man, it's just there's a lot of hatred right now. And if we had that love and that care, man, how much better would the place be? Appreciate it, guys. Go check out 1 John 4. I love all the books of John, not just the John in the beginning, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd John, guys. Appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one.